welcome back to my channel. My name is LK, and if you're new here, I love all things home decor, DIY, and thrifting. And I wanted to walk you through a few things that I picked up at thrift stores in the last couple months and show you how I would like to flip them into some more permanent, keepable, resellable pieces. They're like this close to being some permanent items in my home, but they need a little bit of TLC and a little creativity. So let's jump in and let me show you what I've got. This has got to be the most disgusting thrift store find, but I'm gonna turn it into something really chic. I don't think I can remove these legs, but I don't know for sure until I actually take off all of this material here. These staples are so deep in here. Well, wait, look, I can get one maybe. Oh wait, I got it. I got it. All right, I'm just going to cut off this stuff from the staples here because I don't want to reuse this fabric. I don't think this is worth preserving. It's really gross anyway. So I'm gonna cut this off camera and then I will show you what kind of frame we're working with here. I did not know what I was getting myself into. I feel like I just sheared a sheep and didn't even get a chic sweater out of it. And there's just hair everywhere. I need to clean this up. We're finally done with cleaning up that mess, and I've got the stool here. So it's basically just plywood and then some of this foam around it. I kind of mangled this part, so I'll just put some fabric glue on here to get it a little bit tighter. But the first thing that I need to do is sand down these legs because I don't like this color. Now that we're done sanding, I'm just going to use some cheesecloth. This takes off any of the excess dust because excess dust can cause clumping underneath the stain and can give you like an uneven look. And so as we're trying to make this look kind of chic and amazing, I don't want that. Okay, now I'm just gonna take some pre-stain and put this on the legs here, let that dry for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then put on my gel stain. So I wanted to add an additional layer of warm stain on here just to give it more of that mid-century look. So I used some early American and I feel like it's looking really awesome at this point. So now I just need to let this dry before I can reupholster it. So now that the legs have dried, it's time to put some fabric on it. And I think I can do this without having to sew it. I'm going to cut out a square that's just a little bit bigger than what the stool is so that I can actually wrap it around underneath. Pull this really tightly and just put an initial staple here so that I have somewhere to pull from. This way the fabric doesn't go anywhere when I try to pull it tightly around the stool. So once I have it taut on one side, I'm gonna pull it as tight as I can. Let's be real here, you're gonna put in an obscene amount of staples because you're not a professional reupholsterer, and it's not gonna feel great, but it's gonna get the job done and the stool is going to look amazing at the end. So stick with me. So before I go any further, I'm just going to add a little bit of fabric glue to this seam here so that it doesn't jut out in a weird way once I wrap the fabric around it. So it seems like the only thing that makes sense here is to potentially cut along this line all around the leg and just send some staples right here. And then we can tackle this like corner seam. So I'm just gonna pull this fabric outward and down. Okay, I think that might work. So the next thing is this corner here. What I'm thinking here is that we pull this down like this and we have this like nice little seam on the side. So I'm going to actually staple this right here to hold it. And then I will pull this down. Wow, nice. Okay, so now that we've got our seam down here, I'm just going to add another staple right on the edge here. Let's hope it holds. So I can cut around here, but I'm going to finish first. In the meantime, so I don't have any extra fabric, I can actually cut down the line here. And I can cut this piece out. All right, so let's keep pulling. The trick is overall is to pull the fabric so tight that it almost hurts your fingers and then slam a staple in there and that'll hold it there, and that's exactly what you're looking for. If you want real reupholstery lessons, there are so many really great ones on YouTube, so check those out. The next thing that you want to do here is just start to cut off all the excess around the legs, and just be careful to not let all the fabric fray. It's important to use actual fabric scissors and take your time while cutting it. There's no rush. This whole project takes a lot of patience, but it's a really nice payoff. So I'm actually putting this like fabric glue around the edges so that I can try to keep the fraying under control. And then I'm using this flathead screwdriver just to shove as much as I can inside. And any of this scratching here that I've done from the staples or the staple gun or the screwdriver or the scissors, I'm just going to put a little bit of stain back on top of here. I don't know if I'll ever be rid of all this hair, but we are finally done. Alrighty, moving on. This is our next project. It is a Target Project 62 coffee table. I looked it up online and I guess they don't sell this one anymore. That's probably why I got this one at the thrift store. And I think it has lots of potential. It just needs some work. So as you can see, this tabletop is like in really bad shape. There's all kinds of like nicks and staining and scratching. So I think if I like fill areas like this with joint compound or caulking or something like that, I can repaint this and make it feel kind of brand new again. So I'm just gonna use some of this Drydex spackle that I have left over from another project. This takes about 20 minutes or so to dry, and then we'll just sand it off, and hopefully it'll be a smooth surface so I can just repaint it. So the next step here is to scuff sand this veneer on the bottom. It looks like it's been sun bleached, like maybe somebody had a bowl in some area and then the other area was exposed to the sun, and it's just an uneven tone of wood here. I'm not sure it's a full piece of wood or veneers, so to stay on the safe side, I'm just going to scuff sand everything so that I can put a brand new coat of stain on here and see if I can even it out a bit. You'll see that there's like some gouges in this wood right here, like right here. And instead of adding the wood filler, I'm just going to stain over it, and maybe it'll act like it's got some kind of like, you know, natural patina to it. And now I'm just going in with some of my early American stain. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm just hoping for the best. I'm going to try to keep the layer of stain more saturated on the parts that feel sun bleached and less on the other side. And hopefully if I do a couple coats of this, it'll actually start to blend and look like one solid color. It's done drying, and I think that it's looking okay on top, but I do want to be able to paint this a different color. I don't really like this. I feel like it makes it look cheap, and the design of it is cool. And this being a nice color of stain and this being all painted, I think it would like really elevate it if this was a different color. So I'm going to actually sadly dismantle this entire thing. It'll make this easier to paint as well. And then I will let those dry and put it back together. And once I'm done painting this and the frame, then I think we're gonna be in a really good spot with this coffee table. So to help this spray paint adhere to the frame, I'm going to just scuff sand this with 180 grit sandpaper, and then I'll take it outside to paint it. Alrighty, so I've taken this tabletop outside, and I'm just gonna sand off all of the spackle that I had on here and create an even surface. And then I'm just going to clean it up with some water and make sure it's dry before I start painting it with some white spray paint to make it look like it's new again. So you're not gonna see much of a change here with white paint on a white surface, so let's move on to the next step. So when I took this outside originally, I thought my camera was rolling and it wasn't. So we're starting at the first coat of a Rust-Oleum yellow spray paint in the satin finish. And I chose yellow because it was an interesting pop of color, and I'm kind of into that, and I like that it makes it a focal point. And I ended up having to do about 3 coats, and that took about 1.5 cans of spray paint. Our next project is this lamp I got at Goodwill for $7.99, and at first I kind of thought it looked like office furniture, but then I had second thoughts. So this lamp is really interesting because it's solid wood, it's really tall, it's super heavy, it feels like it kind of is mid-century, it's got like that orangey wood tone, and it's also got the angular shape. But I have so many wood pieces in my house considering I do love mid-century modern design, and I want to challenge myself to do something outside of that box, and if I don't like it, I can always sand it down and start over. So let me show you what I'm thinking. So I never thought I'd be the person that paints wood, yet here I am. I thought it might be interesting to tape off every other side here and paint 2 sides with independent gold and 2 sides with Navajo white, and then maybe keep the base and like the little top notch piece the same, that orangey wood color, or I can sand both of those pieces and put a stain on there that I actually used. Okay, so I have this placemat that I got from the 99-cent store, and it's just like one of their Easter placemats, and I thought this rattan material was really warm and interesting and kind of matched the base of this lamp. So I actually cut a piece of this off because I wanted to incorporate this somehow, and I didn't know what I was gonna do here. I don't want it to look too boho, but I had an idea. If I actually take this and wrap it around here, it kind of provides like an interesting accent to the lamp. And I think that it gives it maybe something that it's missing. It has a little bit of the coastal vibe, and still feels mid-century though. So I want to hot glue this, and I'll just keep the little frayed ends toward the bottom here. So I'm just pulling this around really tight and then cutting off the excess after the glue has hardened just a tad. And then I am taping it with some painter's tape just to make sure it adheres very closely as I cut the excess on a corner because I'm trying to make it look seamless. And the final touch here is to add a harp so I can put a lampshade on top. Those are my 3 furniture thrift flips. I'm really happy with how they came out. Excuse the like random set dressing. Our house is like finally under construction, and so everything is spread out amongst the house just so that we can make room for the workers. But everything should be done by April, thank God, because we've been waiting since December for this. So I'm stoked to eventually redo our living room, dining room, kitchen, all that good stuff. But in the meantime, I'm gonna put out some more DIY videos. So make sure you subscribe if you wanna see more of those, and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Bye.